Welcome everyone to the Meow Report for the 12th. We'll have a short one tonight while we just chat with the people at the space station.
I already chatted with most of them while I was waiting on you last night. I will just sit down on the couch and meow.
Meow, okay.
Hello, friend. Can I sit? No? So, what is the point of talking to them? Is it learn their language?
Yeah, so I've noticed that you can talk to them, learn a word, then once you start to do that, you can go back and talk to people and practice, and you'll get things.
Well, if you say the right thing to them, you get things.
Yeah. Although, just about everything has given me something after I learned a bunch of stuff.
I noticed a few words. I'm not able to sit on that couch. Oh, I can sit in the chair? No, I can spin the chair. Ah, I can sit on this couch. I guess I'll make sure that I talked to everyone as much as I can. Oh, there's a lot of static on my voice. Talk to you today. You just moved couches.
So we talked before about the aliens in this. So did they do a good job? Like, do they all feel alien and unique?
They feel alien.
I'm curious if there are any other aliens that aren't like two-armed, two-legged in this.
Yeah, that would be more interesting to see. I accidentally came across an article today talking about how a Japanese company called Rakuten required all of its employees to become fluent in English. That reminded me, there's a I guess famous case study of how South Korean airlines used to have a lot of issues, and one thing that they did to attempt to solve that was to require all of the employees at I don't know if it's one airline or several. I think it was just one that was getting help from Delta on how to improve their record because they were having crashes due to miscommunications. Anyway, they were all required to communicate only in English at work, and this helped to improve their workplace culture. The idea being that they communicated a different style using English than they did using Korean.
So by speaking a different language, I don't know if I want to say a different personality, but just a different way of phrasing.
Yeah, and that's a concept that I've seen come up a few times in learning about languages. Reminds me of, there was an old article by the last psychiatrist from several years ago where he said that Americans have difficulty learning foreign languages because they're too narcissistic to be open to like otherness, like the otherness of developing that different kind of accent or personality that goes with speaking another language.
That's interesting. I have heard or seen things saying that when you do learn another language, it is almost like having another personality.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I used to subscribe to a newsletter from someone that owned a store in Japan, and he talked about how he was American and he had a daughter with a Japanese wife there, and he was talking about how his daughter has different personalities, whether she's speaking Japanese or English. So I think that was the first time that I heard of that concept. It reminded me that I've seen foreign language courses that tell people to focus on learning the accent first, and that this actually can help them with learning to speak. Learning the accent, don't be afraid to screw up, like force yourself to speak even though it's not going to be perfect. That seems to be one thing that trips people up a lot. There's also a system of learning that has people focus on, I guess this is more for reading than talking, but it has them focus on translating stories, like reading a text side by side in their native language and the language that they're trying to learn, and that is supposedly helpful for learning to read. I suppose it's a little easier to pick up on the concepts that way versus if someone is just trying to read and then picking the words out of a dictionary. Like, they come across a lot of words that they don't understand and they have to take time to look those up in a dictionary or to look up the grammar to understand like the tense of what they're reading. And just having the two translations side by side makes it a lot easier to figure out what this is supposed to say and provide a context for picking it up. I forget what there's a term for that method that someone had a course for helping people to learn Latin or something like that back in the 1800s, that this is where this came from. So Vikings don't like trade. And Gek really like trade.
Gek like getting gifts as well. They'll give me stuff and I'll give them stuff and everyone's happy.
Is Viking supposed to be like Viking? Gek is like gecko.
Space Vikings.
Space Vikings. Don't know about Korvax. That just sounds like an alien name.
They're the ones that are the robots, right?
Yeah, they appear to be robots.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 races that are sentient robots in this, so something like that. Which makes me think: is the stars just going to be colonized by robots?
That's what makes the most sense to me, anyway. You'd either need to spend time adapting life forms to be able to live in space, because it's quite different than living on a planet, and there are a lot of associated health issues with that, or just build robots for that purpose. Yeah, you moved completely across the room since I just talked to you.
know it's been joked about before that, you know, we already have planets like Mars that are colonized by robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same with the moon. There was some article recently that was like, people are always saying, why haven't we gone back to the moon? Well, we have gone back to the moon with robots, which is the way that it makes sense. Sending people to the moon is kind of a stunt. But then a follow-up to this was like, or a comment on this was like, well, that's what the Soviets would say because they lost the space race. They got a probe to the moon, but they didn't get people to the moon. But yeah, I agree. It's interesting to send people to the moon, but or to other planets, but it's not practical. Hugh Howey, who's a sci-fi author, recently wrote a thing just tearing apart the idea that we're going to colonize Mars, which I think that we will colonize Mars. I don't think it is as bleak as he was making it out to be. It's something that I've done some research on because I'm just curious about what will happen with that. But he was just like ripping on all these people that talk about Mars colonization just being like they don't know how impossible this is.
I think the thing people can't really wrap around their heads, and possibly the few stories that actually talk about this, is the stuff like Red Mars, where it talks about how this is not something that's going to happen in our lifetimes. This is something that's going to happen really, it's going to take a really long time to make this happen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I think when people talk about, you know, why don't we go back to the moon, build a base on the moon, why... Like, everyone seems to have this dream of, you know, we're gonna essentially have space sci-fi world within our lifetimes, and no, that's... Like, I doubt even our children or children's children or anything like that are gonna have that, even if we start working on it now. It's just something that's going to take a very long time, and I think people just have a hard time wanting to put time and effort into something that's not going to affect them directly.
Yeah. Right, that is one issue there that so many people for my entire life have talked about any kind of space exploration as if it's a waste of time. Like, oh, we got hungry people here to feed, why don't we focus on that? To which I'm like, why? There are other goals aside from just like making sure all of the cats in the world are fed, and someone needs to work on those. People can work on taking care of everyone if they want to, but also we're not going to push things forward to where there's a better standard of living for everyone if we don't have people working on just like abstract science or concepts like, well, maybe one day we need to leave Earth. We should start exploring that. I guess it's like a short-term versus long-term mindset, and I think it's good to have people that have both mindsets, but you shouldn't try to force everyone to be the same. Also, I think that the people that are talk about, well, we need more, you should focus on doing charitable things for other people right now instead of other stuff that's just fun. I think those people are kind of fake with that because you don't see them spending all their life giving to the poor, whatever. They do a few things, if anything. It's one of those things where it's like everyone thinks it's nice to talk about this, but you know that people don't actually live their lives as if they believe this. A lot of religious belief is that way, where it's like if people were 100% committed to the idea of whatever religions or gods, and they would probably spend all their life focused on that concept of, you know, what do I do to get into heaven or whatever, but they don't do that. They focus on material stuff like everyone else because they want to have that good quality of life right now, and that seems to be the most important thing to everyone, whether they want to admit that or not. And that seems perfectly normal, fine, and natural to me. The only issue is the cognitive disconnect where people are like, yeah, I believe that, you know, my gods are going to do this when I die or whatever, but when do they ever actually act that way?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a cat now.
Yeah, you kind of look like a cat. You have whiskers.
Yeah. I'm a pink cat.
Good job. Maybe I should be a cat too.
I think I talked to everyone. I'm not seeing what traders have to say or...
Did you talk to the person with the wedding offer?
What?
Yeah, there's someone that I ran into that I haven't noticed here before.
Can you describe them?
They were a Viking. So there's a Viking officer sitting down. That's the one that's like, hire me, and you can't hire them. And behind them was another Viking, and that's the one. Yeah, that looks good. Like somewhere between a cat and a catfish kind of appearance. I actually have a mouth. Anyway, like 99.999999999% of people don't want to actually spend all their time devoted to helping, all their time trying to help each other. That wouldn't make sense. And so they just come off as kind of fake when they're like berating other people. Why are you spending your money on science when you could be feeding all the homeless kittens? Yeah, I'm just getting achievements for running around.
We get you grinding your running skill.
Yeah. Did you find the person I was talking about?
I did not. I was looking around.
I'll show you. It's over.
I forget that this rooms exist. The one I'm facing?
Yeah.
I can't even talk to this person.
Really?
Yeah. I don't have a... selling some stuff that I'm like, I don't know if this is useful or not, but I see it around so much that I'm not too concerned about losing it. The vortex cubes was one. The some kind of root I had was another. So on on the topic of a bar and maybe even delivering beer to people because of the fires, taking out the beer pipelines.
Do most places have beer pipelines?
I think so. I hear about this a lot with Europe.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. This is not the first time that I've heard of beer pipelines. I don't know of such a thing existing in North America, but apparently this is a thing in other places.
I've heard stuff like stadiums having things like that, where they just have like a centralized giant kegs and that kind of thing, but never like an actual pipeline. I'd say is a part of America being so big, but it's not like Australia is small.
No.
Just makes me think also about how important things like beer are to a lot of societies. It's like their regular drink. And we've talked before about how even, you know, the pilgrims coming over, they came over because they needed beer.
Right, they were headed to what is today New York, because that was a better place to locate than where they ended up in Plymouth, but they couldn't make it that far because they had run low on beer. So I assume they came ashore to try to find something to drink, some supplies, not sure. And there was a native person there that met them who was like, hey, can I buy some beer? Because I've been buying beer from the fishermen that come off the shore. But yeah, beer is as important as it seems in American culture. It seems to have been more important in cultures of the past or other cultures today. Like, in some parts of Europe, you can just get like a plastic 2-liter of beer the way that we have plastic 2 liters of soda here.
And a lot of places don't have drinking and driving laws like we have. Like, you could drink a beer and drive and it's fine.
If it's under a certain percentage of alcohol. I'm not sure what that percentage is. I'm sure it varies by country. Yeah, in some places in the United States, it doesn't matter if it's like a low alcohol beer or whatever that you're drinking. It's just like having an open container. A beer is questionable in itself. You can't have an open container in the vehicle.
Hello, cat.
Meow.
Meow.
Shall we go try to do more missions?
I'll leave that up to you. If you want to keep it short and end, or you'd rather continue and work on some missions.
Let's keep it short today.
Okay.
So that's the topic that I had to talk about with language stuff mainly, and we got off onto the subject of space colonization. Which, I guess my version of that is that, yeah, it's going to happen, but it will be a slow process. It's, we probably won't see any permanent colonies in our time. We'll probably see temporary ones. Like, we'll see people go to Mars. We'll see temporary bases set up in places like, on the moon or Mars. But no cities yet.
Are we going to need beer when we do our space colony?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. How are people going to get... Oh, I just got crushed by a spaceship.
Imagine if we just died right then and there.
But how are people going to get meat in space? That's a question that I have about colonization.
Yeah.
Probably have to come up with some real meat substitute, as in not plant-based meat substitutes. It's something that'll be effective, and also come up with something that people can raise. I'm thinking that. So my speculation on this, this is actually something that I used is like an idea that got me started on writing a short story about space colonization was farming insects on other planets for food. Like coming up with insects that are adapted, breeding insects basically that are adapted to the local environment of other places, and then breeding them for food.
So, if I remember right, a lot of the just colonists and just travelers in general of the past, they had livestock on their ships and they would slaughter them and things like that.
Yeah, if they didn't, they got scurvy.
No,
like people think that scurvy is caused by a lack of orange juice or something like that. Like, yes, you can use sources of vitamin C to help with scurvy, but that's not the cause of it. The cause of it is no fresh meat. They're eating stuff like hardtack and nothing but hardtack. I assume eating hardtack and drinking beer.
People talk about the turtles that got slaughtered on their way back from the Galapagos and making turtle soup. Like, oh, that's a shame. But no, those are, if I remember, those are put on for livestock. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, here are big animals here that we can eat on the way home.
That makes sense. I think, yeah, it seems likely that people read that story and then kind of take it out of the historical context. They're like, oh, you took these turtles as pets or samples, biological samples or whatever, and then you ended up eating them. Like, no, that's probably not how it went.
Those are probably the biggest thing to eat, and probably easy to take care of too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had a turtle. I don't know how good of a meat they are. But people seem to be quite fond of them in the past. I've eaten frog, which is not really the same animal, but another aquatic creature, and I thought it tasted pretty bad. It may have just been like that particular breed, or like the environment it came from that affected the flavor, though.
I guess we've had gator.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a pretty common one to see in Cajun restaurants too. Gator and frog. Gator was okay. It didn't really taste like anything. But that could also just be because the only way you see it served is fried. Which, that sucks.
So gator is a replacement for chicken.
I thought it had less flavor, but it may have just been the way that they cooked it. I also bought like some meat sticks from one of those jerky outlet type of places that had gator in them, but of course those are always like 50% beef or 50% pork or whatever.
Right, they
And then
cut it out.
yeah, a small percentage of whatever exotic meat like gator, so it doesn't give you a good sense of the flavor.
Cut it out, and then they add a bunch of stuff to it.
Yeah, spices and other meats that have a more powerful flavor.
And then charge you a high fee.
Yeah, when you're mostly just eating pork or beef, whatever cheap meats that they pat it with. I remember hearing something that there's a law in some places that they can't sell pure game meat. I don't know what the story is behind that, because it doesn't really make sense. But like, I don't know why they would have that law. But I've heard people say this, that you can't buy something like pure elk sausage or whatever in some states because it's just not allowed to be sold.
That is... Yeah, that's really weird. If it's just for a safety reason, I mean, you have the elk either way. So I don't see that. Maybe some kind of environmental kind of reasons, but it just seems weird.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I don't know which states have that law or what exactly the law says.
You have very scaly eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're interesting. They're not compound eyes. They're like regular cat type of eyes, but with scales.
So you have a cat face with lizard-like eyes, but not really. Like lizard textured eyes.
Yeah, but they're not the same as the eyes on something like a chameleon, because they're in eye sockets. It looks like I have eyelids even though they don't blink.
But your mouth moves.
Mm-hmm. It looks like I have ape-like teeth. I've got whiskers that look kind of like a fish. A nose that looks kind of like a cat nose. And then an ape-like... sort of a cat-shaped mouth and ape-like teeth. And then like fins and stuff around the head.
You're a mixture of things.
But it does look alien, right? Like an actual alien, not like we put makeup on a human.
Yeah?
Yours is interesting because you have metal-looking tusks.
I didn't even notice that.
You have several catfish-like tentacles and like kind of a hammerhead-shaped head. And then you have tusks that look metallic. It makes me wonder if those are jewelry or if they are, I shouldn't say jewelry, like piercings, or if they're natural tusks.
Look, they're my bling. You don't understand my culture here.
I was noticing on some of the gek that they have like a metallic beak that's screwed onto their face. So it's like a body mod kind of thing. Like this one right here. They have the goggles that look attached to their face, and then this one has like a metal beak attached to their real beak. What do you have? This one has that look as well. And then they have the armor that looks kind of Roman-like. Are those only two gek here?
I think so. I think this is...
This is a Viking station.
Yeah.
I think it's a Viking system actually because the knowledge stones on the planet were all Viking language.
It's like the shops are all Viking as well.
Yeah. Checking the other side to make sure they're all Viking, and they are. Like, the game is teasing me that's like, oh, they have crates and their shops. There's no way to get to that I can see. I can't, like, pull out a weapon and shoot them. Or sneak in there and grab their crate. I can't even crouch.
Why can't I rob the shops?
Yeah. It's not enough realism for me. I can't rob the shops. I can't get killed stupidly trying to rob a space station. Makes me wonder if you can shoot at the space station from outside, if it takes any damage. I doubt it.
This thing weapon just shoots back and instantly kills you. And I'm not even seeing any X traders.
Yeah. Quickly look to see if there's any interesting news to talk about. Top news story then being shown is the Vive Pro headset is permanently reduced to $600. I believe that's a headset only.
Same price as the Index for the headset only.
Oh, look that up.
At which point I'm wondering, why would you get the Vive Pro over the Index?
Oh, a Index headset only is $500.
Oh wow, so that's even cheaper.
Yeah, I think they've lowered the prices on the, which I'm amazed. Actually,
If I remember right,
oh no, the kit is still the same price.
yeah, if I remember right, the headset was like $500 or $600. The controls were like $300, and the lighthouses were like $100.
They now have a thing to notify you when stuff is in stock.
Yeah, they had that, but now it tells you when you're signed up for that, which that was a little annoying earlier because I did like, am I signed up for this or not? Hopefully it'll get some new ones in before Alex.
Yeah, fortunately, we saw that was coming because of. We saw some early rumors about Valve is going to release a Half-Life VR game, and we're like, oh, we better get the Index before it sells out. And so we were able to get one.
And I've enjoyed it.
I would say it's the best.
Yeah.
If what you want is that PC Master Race VR quality, then that's what the Index is.
And this game supports it.
Yeah. It has free VR support. So that's an interesting topic, how this game has improved a lot recently, and like free updates that I feel like other games would charge for this stuff as DLC. They would charge for a separate VR version of their game, and they would charge a subscription for the MMO type like features that they added in the last update to this game. So I still see people complaining about the $60 price on this, and I feel like no, that's quite reasonable for everything that you're getting with it. I don't know if it has the massive amount of stuff in it like a typical MMO has, but it certainly has a lot.
They still charge $60 for it, which, with all the updates, it definitely feels like a $60 game.
Yeah.
And as you point out, the free VR support.
I remember seeing a topic recently on Twitter where game developers were like, the price of games has not kept up with inflation. It's I don't know if that's a market thing or a accessibility thing, but the games are sold for less today than they would have been in the past if you know, using inflation to convert their dollars to today's dollars. And think about how a lot more work goes into the average game, better technology, but that makes me wonder, is it easier to work on? Like, when I say it's an accessibility issue that's driven down the price, is that because it's easier for people to make games? So I'm not quite sure what the reason is for that, but just an interesting thing to note. The other could just be a demand thing, like people blame stuff like bundles and Steam sales for keeping down the price of games. So like, has it become more competitive? That it's probably a combination of both the accessibility, that a lot of people can basically churn out a little game without much effort on their part, and then we have a bunch of these that are very cheap on platforms like Steam and Humble, and so that's the combination of these things are keeping the price low on game, and then big game studios have to compete with that low price. Like, they can't be like, oh, we're going to charge $100 for Call of Duty, because someone's going to be like, well, I bought Call of Duty ripoff for $10 on Steam. Why would I pay $100 for Call of Duty?
Yeah. I also hear just a lot about the idea of just the race to the bottom with this. And that just hurts quality, and you pretty much have your App Store situation.
Yeah, that's it. Another likely cause of this that I don't hear people discuss much, but basically, the market on App Store is such that people demand everything be free, so that's how we got so many freemium and microtransaction games. It's just, people are just like, yeah, I'm not going to download this unless it's free, and so they get something to hook them with that. Although I've heard that some games make more off of advertising than they would off of if they were actually selling their game for one premium price or doing other things to make money, such as subscriptions. They do better if they're just like, click here to watch an ad, and then we'll give you one game buck. And so people just watch the ad all day, and this makes the game more money.
My game box.
Just sitting here chatting with the aliens are over there not caring.
No. Meow, meow, meow.
Yeah. I enjoyed that there are actual alien as in the aliens in this game as well. That was an amusing surprise. We found the whispering egg on the one planet, and I shot it. I'm like, huh, nothing happened. And then you shot it, and it was like, oh, I'm surrounded by hammerhead aliens.
So I learned that if you can harvest those, they're very valuable.
The whispering eggs?
Yes.
Do you need, like, a hazmat gauntlet? Or how do you do that?
I don't know.
I think the hazmat gauntlet, I usually say that, and this doesn't say anything on it. It does. It's like it has the gemstone symbol, like you can mine it, but maybe if you get an advanced enough laser, you can mine it somehow. Containment laser.
I'm torn between let's try to find out, and I don't know if I want to die.
Yeah, not on this game. I'll try that on a normal, easy mode game. That's where I would do all my experimenting. I feel like one of the first planets we stumbled across in the easy mode game was one that was like a kind of, I think it was a joke reference to graphical glitches in the game, because we landed like, this planet has weird metallic floating life forms, and then I found one that you can pick up, and it had a description on it that was like, this is a glitch. This is a contained glitch that you can display as a decorative item or something along those lines.
Wow.
So I'm like, I guess the floating metallic life forms are supposed to be some kind of glitch. I wonder if this is a reference to back when this game had all kinds of glitches when it came out for PC, and they just eventually added that as like, hey, here you can just contain the glitches. This planet is full of glitches.
But this game is 100% procedurally generated down to every atom according to the ad, so how do you have jokes like that?
It's not 100% procedurally generated because the alien races don't look different in each person's game. Everyone has the Gek and Viking and so on.
So procedurally generated within a system.
Yeah.
Also, these must be uncomfortable chairs because we keep fidgeting around in them.
Mm-hmm. My screen keeps moving, like my camera keeps moving slightly as well, as if it's in an unstable spot. The only real glitch that I've encountered is camera glitches, or sometimes underground graphical glitches when I'm like digging for miles and miles underground.
And I get teleported to the surface now and then, which I think that was on the last stream.
Yeah, that hasn't happened to me yet, but I do see lots of like stuff failing to draw or drawing weirdly in the distance as I'm rapidly tunneling underground. I'm assuming it can't keep up with all of the particle effects, or having to redraw everything from the mining action.
Could it be a Minecraft issue where it's just not so much a draw issue, but a generation issue, that it's trying to generate the world as you're going through it?
It could be.
And it just can't keep up with that?
Yeah, it's not. I think it's not doing it in chunks, like something like, I believe Minecraft generates the world in chunks. This seems to be generating the world as you're going along, and I think that like it can't keep up with if you're just going as fast as you can, mining ahead of you underground. It ends up getting basic glitches where it's drawing stuff wrong.
When you tunnel underground, do you go down to the bedrock and tunnel, or do you just...
Depends. Usually I have like a target that I'm headed towards underground, and I just go directly towards that.
I think anytime I've had issues, it was tunneling well against the bedrock. So usually I'll go down to the bedrock because when I tunnel any other way, I'll often pop up on the surface. And
I could see why that would happen. That sometimes when I'm just like digging, running straight, I occasionally will get stuck for no reason because like every so often the laser, whatever, fail. Like it doesn't make a clean hole. It has like a jagged edge or something that I have to like make a bigger hole around it to continue going. And I can see if maybe something like that happened while you were down at bedrock, that might have like a hit box error and throw you somewhere.
Yeah, so that's typically when I have issues. It's when I'm tunneling at bedrock, because I'll go down to bedrock and then I'll just point myself in the right direction, just go straight, so that way I know I don't have to deal with anything until I get under it. Then I'll just go up. But sometimes it'll just teleport me to the surface, and it's not the surface where I am either. It'll sometimes teleport me to like a random spot.
Yeah, that is strange. There's some more VR news. Mark Zuckerberg thinks AR/VR is a solution to the housing crisis. That's the headline.
How? Like, is there any information on this?
Oh, I didn't bother to read it. My assumption before I read is that he was saying something like, if you live in a bad house, you can just pretend that you don't. Because I've heard people make that kind of pronouncement before about VR, like, oh, yeah, this is going to solve a lot of human misery type problems because people can just pretend that they're somewhere better.
You can live in a fantasy.
Yeah. A lot of people already do that with MMOs, so why not?
I'm in a space fantasy. I'm a space cat.
Oh, okay. So what he said was actually a lot better than what I imagined. By 2030, he says AR and VR telepresence could allow employees to work remotely from anywhere in the world, alleviating the affordable housing crisis of increasingly populated cities. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't even think you need AR VR to do that. I think we have just using your standard desktop computer technology would be good enough for that now, but I can see how VR would help in some ways.
I think part of it comes down to businesses still don't want people to work at home. So if something like you have an AR VR situation, you could be like, oh, you have a virtual office where you can watch your employees virtually, or yeah, you essentially have a job simulator type in real life.
Yeah.
Decorate your virtual cube.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, IBM said no more remote workers, and that was like a crisis for the company. Some companies are not advancing on that issue, that they're like, oh, I can't trust my employees to work if they're not in a cubicle under my constant gaze, and it's like that's the opposite of what they need. That actually hurts their productivity. 'Cause think about how much time people waste with commuting, with just office stuff, being annoyed by people, having to go out to eat lunch, that kind of thing. And presumably if someone is doing, like, someone is a functional person, they have less of those issues at home than in the office. Some people don't. Some people are like, especially older people seem to be like, I need to go to the office to get away from whatever. I have too many distractions at home. If I'm at home, people expect me to do stuff. And that is a real worry. And that's not like a personal feeling for them in every case. Sometimes that stuff happens and people can't help it.
Yeah, I guess it depends a lot on the home situation, and I wonder if people who are, higher up in companies have a less desirable home situation, possibly even because, I don't know, like maybe because they focus more on work, because they have more stress from work, because they're higher. I don't want to go into that kind of topic, but just wondering if because they don't have a good home situation, they don't think other people have a good home situation to work in, and it just keeps trickling down, and no one wants people to work at home, and they want everyone to work in the office.
Maybe. I think that was a problem for older generations, that it's like, oh, I got a bunch of kids at home or whatever, I won't get any work done there. Think of how many people I meet around my age that are like, I can't do anything after work because of the wife. The wife nags me. The wife won't let me go do anything. It's like, what? Why did you marry this person? Like, how did you get in this situation? So that's another. I think a lot of people of our generation and older are like, they married the first person to come along or something along those lines, and just ended up with a miserable home situation. There was someone who's incompatible that doesn't have like the same goals and stuff.
Achievement unlocked.
Achievement unlocked. I got married. I met someone and I got married. They were acceptable.
It is very important that you find someone who really is compatible, because of stuff like that, you pretty much give up your life, the rest of your life with that if you don't. Because what's this person going to do? Work 8 hours a day, come home, and if your piece is going to work, that's really saying something. And that is common on so many things with so many people.
It is. Again, talk to older people that are like, oh, I don't mind having a long commute, or even saying they like the long commute because they get peace. They can listen to talk radio or whatever, music in the car or on the train or whatever, and that's the peace that they get during the day. Everything else is just like people are annoying them to work on stuff. Or my problem with working in an office environment is not the work, it's all the other stuff that goes on. Like, I've been in some nice office environments that would have been good for productivity if not for people being like, hey, let's get coffee, or did you see this thing, or the best was someone was like, I was watching you in the reflection of my screen. Like, someone who sat behind me facing the opposite way and it would constantly butt in like, I've been watching you in the reflection of my screen and I saw you doing this thing when you could have done this thing. It's like, alright.
Look, we're going to keep having meetings until we figure out why productivity is down.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember where that's from. That was a comic I saw recently or something like that. I think on recruiting hell.
So, meetings are not conducive to productivity. I don't think, thinking about working in an office or remotely, all the chat apps and stuff people do are not conducive to productivity, and there some places want to use those because they're like, oh, we can just delete the chat history, or it goes away automatically on Slack if you don't have the pro version of Slack. This is where Discord is better than Slack because it has chat history for free. But anyway, like, yeah, we can say a bunch of crap in here about people and then delete the chat. And so they prefer to communicate that way instead of over email. And then they use this excuse like, oh, it's instantaneous. Well, instantaneous is not really good to people's workflow to constantly get interrupted by, like, you gotta answer this message now or else. Of course, people can be that way with email as well, but usually they put a little more thought into it or don't expect someone to have their email open in front of them all the time. Also, with email, you have a permanent record of what people have been saying, so you can't basically lie to someone and then delete it later, like I've seen workplaces that use chat apps do.
Is this the same situation that went on decades ago with snail mail versus telephone?
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you wanted to contact me, you'd have to write me a letter. That was the only way to get in contact with me. Or, pay to send someone to my house kind of situation, but, that I might not be home, so it's probably not worth it. Then they got the telephone, and then everyone can contact you, and you'd get interrupted. You'd have to answer the telephone.
Yeah.
It also results in mail takes a lot of work. Is it worth the effort of making mail?
Yeah.
Phone call is just writing, ringing, calling someone up, and you can just mess everything up for them.
Also, the whole calling people so that there's no record of the conversation. That's the thing that still goes on today, because in some states it's illegal to record a phone conversation unless you have everyone's explicit consent. And so people will use this to, same thing I was saying with the chat, basically lie to someone over the phone and then they'd be like, oh, I never said that. You don't have any proof I said that. If you do have proof, then that's illegal.
So, like, chat messages, they can go away.
Yeah. So whenever someone only wants to communicate over the phone or in person or only in something like Slack, I'm usually suspicious of that. But like without any other contextual information, I'm suspicious of that person right off because I'm like, if you don't want to email me or do something else that has a more permanent record, like even just sending me a message on some social media thing, there still will be a record of what you said. Even doing something like deleting their account doesn't erase that. So I tell people to email me. If they don't want to communicate by email, they're like, no, I really need to talk to you on the phone, or I really need to meet in person. And they refuse to say why or anything, then I'm just like, no. I'm also starting to see, knowledgeable people that are knowledgeable about productivity, advising people against don't have coffee, don't have lunch with people, things like that, unless it's something that you really want to do this. If people are just like, hey, let's have coffee and catch up or whatever it is, just say no to that. Say no to random networking, mixers, those kinds of things. Basically, it's just usually ends up being a waste of time. That's why if someone actually wants to do something, they can just email you and tell you it, and then you can decide from there if you want to have a meeting about this topic or to continue emailing or whatever is most efficient.
If there's no reason to actually physically be there, then yeah, it's probably just a waste of time to go there.
Yeah, and meeting random people is usually a waste of time.
As even something like that with just the office. If you're gonna have let's say you have a 3 o'clock meeting every day to discuss and talk. Is there a reason for everyone to be there at 3 o'clock, or can people call in?
Yeah. And that's just a situation that highly depends on what's being done. Probably it can be done over video conferencing or just calling in, unless you need someone to physically be there to look at or do something.
And calling in could even be more efficient, because let's say, hey, did you get these records? Oh, I don't know, let me check my email. I can quickly just do that right now because I'm at my computer.
Yeah. It's even worse when you're having a business meeting with people that are like, it's rude for you to look at your computer or look at your phone during the meeting. Don't do work during meetings. Like, but we're all here and you just told me to do something that I could quickly do. It's like, why don't I just do it? Good meeting.
Good meeting. Yeah, how long have we been sitting here? I almost feel like it's been a half hour.
Pretty close. Yeah, actually, it might have been about a half hour.
Well, we went over an hour.
Yeah, but we got side stuff done, I guess. I don't know if any of that stuff helps, but something relaxing to do compared to previous stream where it was very focused on running around trying to get these missions done so we can get it off the planet.
And I guess we'll be running around again trying to get the hyperdrive so we can get out of the system.
Yep, I think that's the mission that's coming up next.
Alright, so that, just so everyone is aware, that might not happen till sometime next week because we will be traveling.
That's the mission that has the building with the aliens. So
yes,
be careful. But as long as you don't run around shooting, it's fine.
Can I carpet bomb an area?
I try. One time I did run around shooting and hit a whispering egg, and then I got in my ship and just surrounded by aliens for several minutes. I ended up flying up and trying to shoot them from the air. I don't think I killed them, but they went away eventually when I did that. I also took some damage while I was doing that, so I'm like, what was this damage? Did I fly into something that I didn't see? Did they jump up and hit me? Did I get laser fire reflected back at me? Like, just wondering how that happened. Alright, so we'll be doing that probably a few days, more than a few days, but yeah, later this month. So, see you next time.
See you.
I'll just be sitting here in Space Station.
Oh, did you save?
Nope. That's a good idea.
Let's go save.
I don't know of another way to save easily other than going the ship. I know you can make a save beacon on your base, but I don't know how to save in a space station other than going to your ship.
Yeah.
Alright. Saved.
Saved. Alright, till next time.
Bye.
Bye.